everybody, it's Alderbear Art here. I'm back with another video, and today we are talking cheap art supplies because you're probably broke, but you want some super cool art supplies, right? Well, I can help you because I was once a cheap child, and I have managed to save some money on supplies the past few years that I have been doing art. Hopefully these tips and supplies will be of use to you too. Just remember, you don't need expensive supplies to make amazing art. Everyone always says that. However, just because you're on a budget doesn't mean you have to get the absolute worst supplies on the market. Okay, so first things first, just want to put a little disclaimer here. All the links are going to be either in the description or in the comments, depending on how I'm feeling. And some of these links are affiliates, which means I may make a small commission from the company that sells them, but it's no extra cost to you, which means if you buy something from the links that I provide, I make a little extra money and you don't have to spend anything extra to do that. So if you want to support the channel, make sure you check out those links. First, let's talk the basics of all basics. You need a surface to make art on, right? Paper. You'd think it'd be super cheap because there are literally trees everywhere, but no. Sketchbooks can be anywhere from $5 to $25 on average, and that's not even talking the fancy ones. $5 might not sound like much to some people, but when you're going through paper like pizza, especially when you also have to purchase other supplies, it adds up. Now, you could go the easy route and just buy a pack of copy paper. Georgia Pacific's 500 sheet pack, 8.5 by 11 is about $4. That works great if you're practicing and just doing some graphite studies. There is nothing wrong with using this for sketching. This is actually a great option because if you're doing a lot of sketches, you probably want to do it for really cheap. But if you're trying to do anything more than that, it's basically Leonardo da Vinci's toilet paper. So if you're going to use any other medium on it, I'd recommend getting some cardstock. Georgia Pacific also has a 150 sheet pack of cardstock, the same size, for just under $6. That's a lot more pages than most sketchbooks. It's thick enough to hold a light wash of watercolor, markers, what have you. I mostly use this for colored pencil art though. If you haven't noticed, I'm using a lot of Walmart and other department store items because they're cheap and they're easily accessible to people in the US. You wanna know my secret? I use this for most of my traditional art commissions because it's thicker than copy paper but not horribly expensive. Again, this works great for colored pencils and it's cheap. What if you want a sketchbook though? Surely there's something that's going to be under $5 and not completely crap, right? That's right, there is. Pen & Gear, which is again a Walmart brand, so a lot of people can find this, has a sketchbook for around $2 at back to school time. So I've actually seen this for less than $2 and for as cheap as 50 cents. And you can find those deals sometimes in store, but mostly online. So if you're trying to get sketchbooks for cheap, I highly recommend checking out walmart.com for this sketchbook. It comes in two different sizes. I'm pretty sure this is either a 5 or a 5.5 by 8.5, which is basically like a half sheet of paper. And then this one is a full sheet of paper, which is 8.5 by 11. These are the exact same sketchbook, it's just one's older than the other, that's why the colors look different, but this is amazing. Well, you know why? It's under $2 for the small one, and it's under $4 for the larger one. You can even put in your own cover, and they have normally about 70 sheets. You cannot beat that deal. What about the quality though? It can hold very, very light wash of watercolor, but I would again mostly use this for colored pencil artworks. And there is some light bleeding if you're using any ink. You will kind of see it on like the back of the page, but if you're doing graphite or colored pencils only, you're not going to notice that at all really. So the nice thing about this is that it's under $2, but it's also probably better quality than most of the sketchbooks that you'd find at Dollar Tree. Okay, so what about other supplies? Don't worry, I'm not here to talk about paper all day, so let's move on to sketching. For regular graphite, honestly, I kept buying mechanical pencil packs, but that's a waste of plastic and they constantly break. You could use any old pencil you find laying around the house and that will work great. I know Mark Crilly basically swears by these Dixon Ticonderogas. I can never pronounce them, but the point is, I know Mark Crilly, who's a famous art YouTuber, swears by these things. My personal opinion, I prefer mechanical pencils because I don't want to have to carry around a bunch of pencils because these wear down really fast. So if you're looking for something a little more permanent, I highly recommend making the purchase of a decent mechanical pencil. Here's the thing. With these, you can get refillable lead and it'll last you a really long time. This may sound expensive to you, but for $7, I never have to buy pencils anymore. I've had it for years and it's yet to break. I've only bought one lead refill. If you have the money to splurge, this is a good investment. So this is a mechanical pencil. It's a Graph Gear 500. I've had this thing for years. I got it at Hobby Lobby. I've given some of these away to my sister. They are amazing. And the best part about this one is it has a really, really tiny eraser, which is also refillable. And this is great for detail work. And the pencil itself, because it's a 0.5 lead, it means it draws really, really fine. So this is my favorite pencil because I do a lot of manga art. And again, this lead, I only ever bought it like a refill like once, and a lot come in a pack, and it's really worth the money. For $7, I'm no longer buying pencils that are gonna break. If you don't have the option of going to Hobby Lobby, which I totally understand, Papermate does make a clear point, break resistant mechanical pencil. My only issue with this is that it's plastic. I really prefer this one, which I think is either metal or just harder plastic, but Papermate does make a pretty good pencil. This is a 0.5 lead as well with refillable lead, and it's got like a little twist eraser. The eraser's a bit bigger than the one on the Graph Gear. That's my only real issue with it, other than the fact that it's plastic. But this is a great option you can get at Walmart as well. I just highly recommend getting a mechanical pencil over these regular ones, just because if you make the upfront investment, you're not buying them all the time. Erasable colored lead is also pretty popular. Prismacolor Colorase is a few dollars per pencil, but if you're looking for a large variety for cheap, Crayola does have an entire pack of erasable colored pencils available online and at Walmart stores. For inking, I've used things like Sakura microns and whatnot in the past, and maybe... For inking, I've used things like... For inking, of course, I've used some Sakura microns like everybody else. I know these things are super popular, but they're also super expensive. And maybe it's just the ones that I buy, but they seem to dry out really fast. So I've resorted to things like Sharpies now because they get the job done and watercolor doesn't affect them much. They're also better for filling in larger areas. The nice thing about Sharpies too is that they're easily accessible, so you can find them at any Walmart and basically any other department store like Dollar General or Dollar Tree. I feel like sometimes they get a bad rep just because they're cheap, but these things are great for filling in large areas, and they also come in all different sizes. You can get things like Sharpie pens and Sharpie extra fine point and stuff like that. However, I do find that the smaller Sharpies also dry out really fast, just like the micron pens. So maybe it's just the size of the barrel, but just be warned. I mainly use watercolor and colored pencils in my drawings. Colored pencils that are of nice quality are generally, yes, more expensive. I found the cheapest place to get Prismacolors is actually at Sam's Club. My local one had this 36 pack for only $20, because for the same price of $20, you only get 24 of them at Walmart. That's 12 more pencils for the same price. Still, if you're saving up money for Prismacolors and your family doesn't have a Sam's Club membership, they're still cheaper at Walmart than going to a craft store, unless you have good coupons. So if your goal is to get some fancier pencils for cheap, check out Sam's Club first if you are able to. Otherwise, go to Walmart. Don't go to any other craft store or anything, because they tend to be more expensive. Craft stores tend to have a higher retail price in general in comparison to Walmart, unless you're able to get really good coupons. I know you're probably saying, what about Crayola? And yes, Crayola does have some amazing colored pencils for really, really cheap, and they have a lot of skin tones and stuff. And if you're looking for a cheaper colored pencil and you can't afford Prismacolor, I highly recommend going for Crayola. Don't go for the other off brands like Crazy Art and stuff. The lead quality just isn't as good. So if you can't afford Prismacolor, of course, go for Crayola or whatever else you can grab. When you're working with a small budget, the best thing to do is try to find something that's of the highest quality within that budget. If you don't want to spend money on any kind of watercolor palettes or anything, I highly recommend trying to find an old first aid kit in your house that nobody's using, because literally these work great as little travel palettes. For watercolors, I use Winsor & Newton. These are a higher grade student quality brand. This is not their professional series. Now, I got these on Amazon on sale for around $13. They tend to go on sale at least once a year. I'd say more often than that. And honestly, if you're planning on getting something nicer like this, you're better off waiting for them to go on sale. There's plenty of other brands available though, Some of the more highly rated ones are Prang and Prima Marketing. Those are also student grade watercolors. This is a Koi watercolor set. It's from Sakura. You can get this at Hobby Lobby. And I know this is very popular because the accessories and the colors available, but personally, it's a little expensive for a beginner to get something like this, and the watercolors are a little bit chalky. However, you do get a nice brush with it, some sponges, and a decent range of colors. So if you're looking for my overall review on this, if you're trying to find some cheap watercolors and you really can't afford much, I recommend trying to find Prang or Prima Marketing. They're both a little bit better quality than Crayola. But if you have the money to save up and you want to spend like $13, you can get a really nice set of watercolors for $13 or maybe even less on Amazon. I know a lot of people talk about Koi and it's a really nice set, but it's just a little bit too expensive for beginners. For highlighting, I used Sakura Jelly Rolls for the longest time. I know everyone talks about these, but these are so frustrating that I wanted to scream. They do not work well on watercolor or colored pencils. I believe I saw another reviewer say they work well on Copics, but I can't verify that because I don't use them. I do swear by Uniball's Signo White Gel Pens. I don't have any on me at the moment, but they're thicker and you can get them in different sizes and they work much better on top of watercolor and colored pencils, and you can get a 3-pack of them for about $6 on Amazon. If you do end up going to a craft store for any items, I beg you to please download their app and look for rewards. Michaels is my current favorite. I cannot begin to tell you how much money I have saved through them. You should never walk into a craft store without a coupon. That's not enough though. You can be cheap, sure, but you should be saving even more money. I recommend downloading something like Honey for more savings. I know everyone talks about it, but honestly, it's great if you're shopping online. It finds the best price through dozens of online retailers, and then it searches the web for every possible coupon to get you an even better price. It's amazing. I can't recommend it enough. And if you're doing any online shopping for art supplies at all, download Honey. And I'm not even sponsored by Honey. I just want to make that absolutely clear. I'm not sponsored by Honey. I just honestly love it a lot. It saves so much money. And if you're making any online purchases, please use Honey. Once again, if you do purchase anything through my links, I highly appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel. It is not costing you any extra to use those links. However, the companies are paying me a small percentage of the profit, and that goes towards the channel. So if you guys have anything else you'd like to add, be sure to comment it down below. I know I did not talk about every cheap art supply out there in the world. These are just some of my favorites and ones that I have used. I know Dollar Tree has a lot of products for even cheaper, but personally, just within that price range, I find that these Walmart products are a lot better and you get a lot more for your money. Hope this video was helpful to some of you. If it was, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any video requests, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Nyan Cat away.